A lot of people are gonna give you some bullshit ass reason as to why what's important about mastering. But let's just call it what it is. If you're watching this, you're probably thinking to yourself, how do I get this fucking loud as fuck, but it doesn't sound like it's squashed to death? Thank you for tuning into this episode of Ericson Presents Mixing Tutorials. And today we're going to continue going on with this record from Karma, Explain Yourself, and we're going to talk about the master process. Now, for me, I would recommend that if you're going to do a master on the same record that you're mixing, then you should probably take a break. It would even be better if you come back the very next day. Like, don't mix and even master it in the same day. But if you have to do it in the same day for whatever reason, maybe you have a deadline, at least step away. Go get something to eat. I usually will mix a song and then I'll leave the house, go get something to eat, talk on the phone, whatever it is, and then I'll come back and then I'll sit down. If you're gonna mix it and then try to master it, the master is supposed to be a second set of ears. This is supposed to correct things that maybe you just didn't get because you were involved in that mix. It's just a second check. It's just, okay, let's just make sure this is right. I think it's right too. If we both say it's right, then it's right. So if you're gonna mix and then try to master at the same time, you're using pretty much the same set of ears. And in my opinion, you would have fixed the problem in the mix had you saw it. So think about it. Okay, that was horrible. That was horrible. Anyway, the point is, I know you guys get the point. So what I did was I bounced out the record, and that's what we have here. So this is the bounce of
Ockrams. Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking?
Now, let's talk about loudness, because a lot of people are gonna give you some bullshit ass reason as to why what's important about mastering. But let's just call it what it is. If you're watching this, you're probably thinking to yourself, how do I get this fucking loud as fuck, but it doesn't sound like it's squashed to death? And I'm gonna help you do that. That's what I'm gonna help you do. I'm gonna help you get your masters super loud, but they don't sound like they're squashed. That's what I'm here for. So I use this metering because I want to make sure that my LUFS is -10, like on the average. So -10 is as loud as I usually go. Anything louder than -10, I feel like I'm pushing and I'm starting to hear things I don't want to hear. Can I go? Yeah, I can, but I don't really want to sacrifice the quality to get it up to -8 or I definitely ain't doing that for like -6. Like, if a record doesn't have a lot of bass in it, then you can definitely get it louder, because bass takes up so much of your headroom, which is why in the last video, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend going back to watch that. Which is why in the last video, I cut out a lot of the lows under 20 hertz using the Manley massive passive. Okay, so that's already going to set me up for greatness. Now, if you remember, I also used the Manley to, boost the high end and just take care of a couple of things to kind of rebalance the track. So basically, the more balanced your track is, the easier it is to make it sound loud. So like, say for instance, you're slamming a limiter on and you feel like, okay, your LUFS is saying -8, but it also sounds quieter than another record that the LUFS are not saying even -8. It's probably saying like -10. Like, you're like, why does mine sound quieter? Well, the reason why yours sounds quieter is because your low end is too high and you probably can't hear it. And I know this to be true because I'm only telling you the mistakes that I've made, okay? Not telling you anybody else's mistakes but my own. So this is why I know that if you're having that problem, that's most likely what the reason is, because that was the reason why I was having a problem. So you got to imagine, if this is, are we backwards? No, in the camera, this is where the highs is, so this is going to be where the lows. So if this right here is your low end and then the rest of your track is sitting here, when you raise this up, the limiter is going to respond to this and it's going to start squishing this down, but this is still low. But now think about it. If this is your low end, if you bring, if you can bring the rest of the track up higher, when it squashes, the low end, the rest of the track is still louder. Say it. I know that. I just really thought of that, and I know it made sense. And if it didn't, my apologies, but that's just how it works. Okay. That's how it works for me, at least. So let's play this. I will go through step by step what I did, and then I will show you how I came to my okay, I'll show you. Okay. So anyways, all right. So first things first, you can do this one of two ways, okay? And sometimes I do it either or. Sometimes I will set the limiter first, and I'll get the track as loud as I want to get it, and then I'll work backwards. I find that this technique works better at times when I want to keep it as clean as possible, because it's always easier to take something away than it is to boost. So say for instance you're running out of headroom and you're still trying to boost, then it's gonna distort. But if you can get it loud, okay, and then you start taking things away, it's not gonna distort. It's just gonna get clearer. So there's one of two ways to approach it. And this one, I don't think I did that. I think I went all in. So yeah, my balance EQ. So okay, I gotta talk about it. So the way this is set up is I have my feed track, which I'm not using right now. So we're bypassing that. Are we bypassing that? Yes, we're bypassing the feed track. So we're going here. So I go from my feed track to my transients track, to my compression track, to my saturation track, to my shape EQ track. So basically this is my last effort to get it right. Then I have the clipper, de-esser. Thank you to Mr. Devon Terrell. I started adding the de-esser there. And then I have the limiting track. Now on each track, I have different options I want to use, so I can just go to them very quickly. This is why I like breaking them up like this, so I have them in sections. That I don't necessarily use every one of these, okay? Just because they're there, don't mean I use them all. I just do whatever I feel is needed for the track. So let's start.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close? Are you hanging out? What's this all about? Tell me
got a
what's
little
this
clearer.
all about? Hope you ain't cheating on me.
And honestly, I think I made this decision after I got through the whole chain and I felt like I needed to rebalance it, and then I went back. But you're going to hear it, where it's being affected the most. Now, this is doing a lot of lifting.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close? Are you hanging out?
Now, with this right here, I'm going to actually show you why or how I set this every single time, okay? And it's so easy. So I'm going to turn this one off, and I'm going to actually bring up the one that I had before, because I think this was the one I was doing my test. This is the second time I'm recording this video, just so you guys know. It is the second time. All right, so what I'll do is I will start on this frequency band right here, and I'll boost it all the way up, okay? Turn it all the way up. And then I'll start turning this knob until something jumps out at me that makes me feel like this is the most amazing thing ever in life, okay? I don't know where that's going to happen. I just know one of these frequencies is going to do it for me.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning?
Right there sounds
What the
good.
fuck she talking?
Now, mind you, I did this one on my focals. I'm doing this one on these Sonys, but the correction is not turned on. So could this be lying to me? Yes. So I'm going to keep these settings because I know those focals a lot better than I know these headphones is without the correction on them. But I just want to show you the process. So just get the process. So when I heard that right here in these headphones, like it felt good.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling?
Right here.
So early in the morning.
Like that felt good to me. It was like, okay, woo. So then what I'll do is I'll pull it back, and I'll usually end up setting it anywhere between 1 and 2. I don't know which one I'll do. I'll just listen.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning. What the fuck she talking?
Okay, so then we'll move to the second band. So let's turn it all the way up, and we'll do the same thing.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning.
Yeah, right here.
What the fuck she talking?
Right there. I wonder if I had that set last time. That's actually the setting I had. That's the setting I had on from the folk house. So anyway,
Now I got a question.
pull this down.
Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning.
All right, let's do it one more time. I'll redo this so I don't remember what I did.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning. What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close? Are you hanging out? What's this all about? Tell me what's
I actually
this
like that
all
1K
about?
right there.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning.
Yeah, I think this is, that's what I went with on the folk house. Okay, so let me pull it back.
Now I got a question.
And then if you turn it off and on, you're
Why
gonna hear
this
different.
bitch keep calling? So early in the morning.
So yeah, that's how I set that, and it works for me. So yeah. Anyhow, so I did that. Moving on. Let's pull up. I'm just trying to control that low end.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning. What the fuck she talking?
Okay, so I didn't use any transients. Shout out to Devon Terrell for this one because he used this compressor. Now this is the compressor I was using before, and it was pretty much, he literally was doing exactly the same settings. Like as soon as I saw him do it, I was like, I see why he did it. Makes sense. 1.7, that was his ratio. I was using 4:1 using this one, but I like the way this one sounded, and I like the boost. It just made it chunkier, and so that's why I stopped using my SSL one after I saw this one. So yeah, this is definitely lifting and doing a lot, making it a little more, chunky.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning. What the fuck she talking?
Now you guys can hear, like, we're getting in that ballpark. So now we have the saturation knob that I did nothing on. I didn't use the saturation at all. Mainly because of the way that I do my sessions. I don't really have to go through and add this part because I'm using saturation all over the actual session. My shape EQ, this is where I always cut out some lows, and I usually do a brick wall at 20. Always do a brick wall at 20. And then I'll take off the sides, and sometimes I'll go up to 100, which is where this curve is pretty much starting at. It's a little bit above 100. So yeah, let's turn that in, and then I have a dynamic EQ on the top end.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling? So early in the morning. What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close? Are you hanging out?
All right, so now let's get to the section where the lifting starts. So I'll just right now we're already, let's turn on, I don't know what we are actually. Where are we sitting at?
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking?
So we're pretty much at the level that the streaming services are gonna want to put your record. But let's get it a little louder. So let's go with the clipper. I do love the clipper because of what it can do. I'm getting an extra 3.6 dB out of the volume using this clipper.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close? Are you hanging out? What's this all about? Tell me what's this all about? Hope you ain't cheating on me.
Okay, and so thank you, Devon Terrell. Obviously, I watched the tutorial like a week ago, so he just gave me some ideas, and an idea is an idea. So I wasn't de-essing the top end of my tracks, but I figured, you know what? Let me try it and see what happens. So I just put the simple vocal de-essing in music preset on, and I'm running that right before my last limiter.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close?
Bam. Okay, and so now we're going to get to the last limiter. Now, mind you, it works because the balance is there. And when I say that the balance is there, let's pull up this up higher.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close?
Okay, so that's my balance. I'm looking at this spectrum. I'm seeing holes here, but it works with this record. All right, so the last limiter. Now, this is how I set this motherfucker. Like, me personally, I don't want this limiter to do more than 3.5 on this side right here. I don't want to push it harder than 3.5. If I have to push it harder than 3.5, I gotta find another place to get some volume. I don't want this limiter to be the place where I get majority of my volume. I want it to just get the last little bit of volume that I need. Now, as you can see, before I set this one, I was already, what is it? I'm at 13, negative 13. So we're there. I just need an extra 3 to get to 10, right? Okay. So I like the transparent preset, and I turn the attack up, and then I turn the release down just a little bit. And I don't like these channels to be linked. So yeah, let's turn this on, and I'll tell you what I'm looking for with the limiter. All right.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking?
So with the limiter, all I'm looking for to be taken care of by the limiter is the low end, which is the bass, the kick, and the snare. Like, those 3 things is all I'm looking for to be taken care of. Everything else, I don't even want to even be triggered in the limiter, because if it's not being triggered, that means it's open, it's doing its thing, it's not being compressed. Think about it. Just think about the concept. So in order for me to be able to do this, everything else this started in the mix. This didn't start on the master. So if you're trying to repeat this concept and you're like, why can't I, why is it not doing the same thing? You might need to go back to the mix. And if you remember in that mix that I did, if you look at the very end, I use that EQ, the massive passive, to rebalance it, just to get it to sit a little better, just so when I get to this process, this is gonna, it's like everything is all working together to get it loud.
Now I got a question. Why this bitch keep calling so early in the morning? What the fuck she talking? Are you getting close? Are you hanging out? What's this all about? Tell me, what's this all about? Hope you ain't cheating on
Let's hear that end part.
right now. Explain yourself. Explain, explain, explain it. Explain it. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand it, boy. No, boy. Explain yourself.
So yeah, that's how I do it. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I can maybe go a little more detail if there's something that you saw me do that you were wondering, like, well, why did I do this, or why did I do that? Yeah. Oh God. Nah, I'm gonna hold off on that one. All right. So, anyways, hit that subscribe button, bell notification button. Like I said, hit me up if you got any questions. All right. I've been here for a while, and I'm about to go get ready because I gotta eat, and I'm about to tear it up today. I'm about to tear it up today. All right. I will holler at y'all. Deuces.